Hey there ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Terra guide here with me, Meoni. Today I'm going to be looking at a level 45 to 48 instance, SIGIL ADSTRINGO. You will find the entrance to this instance in the southern area of Valpalrada. Near the entrance to the Temple of Dagon there's a teleporter, and that's how you get in. This particular instance is hosted actually outside. Once you come in here, it's an open world instance. We have 4 bosses in here, of which there are some that are familiar and some that are not so familiar, introducing new boss encounter mechanics to previously known encounters, and as well as some new encounters entirely with completely new mechanics, which are the first 2 dragon bosses in the game. So without further ado, let's hop onto those and get going. So the first boss inside here is Abagnale. Now Abagnale will look pretty much identical if you've done Bastion of Lok to Soul Crusher. Now looks aren't deceiving, his abilities are pretty much exactly the same as well, albeit 2 or 3 examples that are slightly different. The boss encounter is pretty basic though. During the fight, Abagnale will randomly spawn adds to aid him. These things don't have high HP and their damage is pretty weak. You know, you can get overwhelmed, so just take them out with a nice big AoE and get rid of them, because obviously you want to keep the room nice and, you know, easy to move around instead of getting stuck on collision detection of mobs. So get them outside as soon as possible and keep spawn clear. The most important thing to focus on in this fight is Abagnale's Typhoon ability. This is when he goes to the center of the room or wherever he's standing, and he basically will create a giant tornado where he splits himself into millions of stone pieces that whirl around, which does an absolute ton of damage and also puts the damage over time on the character that gets hit by them, even if we're not standing near them. After he does stop this ability, he turns into one piece again. When he does this, he puts 3 red circles on the ground, which he fires like meteors into, a bit like Soul Crusher. You want to stand the hell out of any red circles you see on the floor and avoid the Typhoon ability. He's got quite a big cast timer, and you can pretty much tell because he breaks into pieces before casting it. So use your brain and just keep on your feet and you should be fine. Other than that, there really isn't any other extra abilities to this boss. He's pretty much plain sailing and you shouldn't have any real problems. So let's speed this up and get the loot. So here's the second encounter in the instance. This is Hikari the Dragon, the first dragon you will encounter in TERA Online. This fight is considerably easy though, but has some points that you have to be aware of. First of all is his main attack, is a ground target AoE. He flies over the air and puts 3 circles in the line in front of him. Everyone who stands inside these circles will take fire damage over time. Of course, you can understand that this attack is easily avoidable. Just stay away from those circles and you'll be safe. If you're not aware of the reoccurring theme in TERA Online, circles are bad news. Yes, bad news bears indeed. Stay away. The other ability you need to watch out for are his adds. He summons some stationary mobs, so don't worry about them too much, simply avoid the red circles which they cast in front of them, and you will be fine. Apart from those 2 points, Hikari has the classic cleave and jump moves, but there isn't really anything special about them, and he can't be considered as a dangerous boss if you basically stay out of circles and stay away from his face and feet. A few last things to think about is the Dragon's Breath ability, which is a 180-degree cone of fire in front of him on the floor. Obviously DPS should be positioned behind the boss, and most of the encounters in the game actually you need to be behind the boss, so you shouldn't get hit by this at all. The other abilities are obviously a cleave, which is a 180-degree conal cleave in front of them, in front of his feet and face, and he has a charge which he moves on a direct line in front of him, damaging anyone who stands in his way, which are standard moves for bosses. Once you have killed this boss, you'll be moving on to the next encounter after a load of mobs. The next fight is Great Chief Tungan and Nura P. This is the first ever duo boss encounter you will face in TERA. The fight is a bit more interesting than the previous and can also lead to a massive fail if you try this encounter for your first time without reading any tips or guides. Firstly, you have to focus and kill Nura P. He casts a poisonous ball to a single target which puts a dot on him, and that cannot be dispelled. Also, he has some ads with him. They are weak, but they are also very annoying. As soon as Nura P is dead, you have to deal with Tungan. In this part of a fight you have to consider 2 points, first of which is the Eggful Nalus, which is a giant mushroom that heals Tungan. For this reason it needs to be taken out as soon as possible and should be your #1 priority. The second minor point is the ads that Tungan will spawn periodically. Although the ads aren't any serious threat to the group, it is recommended to take them out and then switch back to the boss. And now a little rundown on both of the boss's abilities here. Their normal attacks are dodgeable, obviously. Their summon minions thing, which summons 2 ads at once. That's the ads that Tungan summons. It's recommended to kill those, obviously, and switch back to the boss, like I said. He can summon that Eggful Nalus, which is the healing target mushroom. And he has a static jump, which means he randomly jumps at the spot, causing AoE moderate damage to everyone who stands near him. So just watch out for that, and you should be fine. The rest of the boss is pretty much easy. You just got to make sure he doesn't heal too much. Once you've killed that boss, get your loot and get prepared, because you're about to encounter the hardest boss in the game so far. Good luck with this one. Here we go. So here we are, the 4th and final encounter inside Sigil ADSTRINGO. This is Skull Regnath, which is possibly the hardest boss you will encounter in the game so far, mainly because it's really hard to do without coordination, and people can't go into it blindly. Basically, they're all pretty much one-shot abilities if you're not too careful. So this is the final boss, and it is a giant dragon, so you can expect the dragony abilities to follow with this, the cleaves, the charges, etc., and the flying abilities. However, in comparison to Hikari, he flies less and sticks more to the ground, which makes the fight a lot less dizzy, but there's still more to avoid. So, points of interest for this fight. He has a static electrical field, so this is his powerful attack and must be avoided at all costs, and immediately. It could easily kill everyone in a couple of seconds if he isn't cautious about it. Basically, Skull Regnath casts an electrical field on the spot he's standing, stunning anyone inside for a few seconds, and also causing high damage over time. The healer needs to use Dispel in case someone is caught in the field or they're pretty much dead. The other thing in this fight is the Dracar Pylon. You will receive a message on your screen when the pylon spawns or is about to spawn. At this point, exception of the pylon, stationary ads will spawn as well and will start to cast red circles everywhere on the room. You need to avoid those red circles, and you need to destroy the pylon as fast as possible to make those ads disappear, also whilst avoiding the static discharge on the floor. So that's what really makes this a bit of a cluster fight. So yeah, avoid stuff, kill pylon, kill boss. So let's run through the abilities of this boss whilst we watch people die on screen. The normal attack is avoidable, obviously. The static electrical field is a massive AoE, which does obviously damage over time to everyone who stands in it, and also stuns them. He does a cleave like most dragons would do, as you'd expect, and most bosses indeed, which is again 180 degrees in a cone in front of him, so DPS from behind if possible, or a diagonal back of his current position. The other ability is a Dragon's Breath, again another dragon related ability, which is a 180 degree cone of fire in front of him and sets flames on the ground that you don't want to be standing in. I would love to show you a boss kill in this footage I recorded, but obviously I've out leveled it now and can't queue again, so I can't show you again without leveling another character. But essentially we did get a kill eventually that I didn't fraps, but not in this group. It didn't really work out too well. And that's why I think this guide is pretty invaluable. You really need to know what the hell you're dealing with in this fight, and I presume a lot in the future will be like this. So it's really nice to see the difficulty curve go up a little bit, and I hope you've enjoyed this guide and it's of some use. I know a lot of people have been watching my guides and saying they're really good, and keep them up, and I certainly will do. I intend to do guides for every single Terra dungeon in the game, and a lot of other Terra stuff coming soon. If you would like to leave a comment below on what you think of this video and what you would like to see next, then feel free to do so. And make sure you subscribe to Ace Games. Today we have a growing number of subscribers with some amazing videos coming out of all various different games, you know, of different genres, MMOs and MOBAs, you name it, we've got it. So I've been Meoni, thank you for watching, goodbye, I'll see you later.